Blake, as we head through all of these summer movies that we're watching, is this the best song ever attached to the end of a teen movie when the credits roll?
Off the top of my head, yes.
I think so too.
If I could grow wings, I would do anything. It's a great message.
This movie, I want to meet the people, and you better not be one of them, who hate One Crazy Summer. Because when they hit the credits, wings, I could do anything. I mean, that's the whole purpose of high school. Grow your wings so you can go do anything, Blake. We're talking One Crazy Summer. Y'all get ready for it. He's Blake. I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken podcast. We're back in this summer season, Blake, of talking all the movies that make you love the summer.
Yeah. And this feels, I know we've been on a summer camp like kick here lately, but this feels like a summer camp movie, don't it? I mean,
absolutely. They go to Nantucket. They're stuck on an island. He's a fish out of water, literally,
right?
Because he doesn't like boats or the ocean, and he's stuck on an island trying to get away from trying to find a love story, Blake, and he finds it. This is One Crazy Summer, 1986. I grew up watching this movie, like a lot of the movies we review. I grew up watching this movie over and over and over on a taped tape. And it was, when I was real young and we had the satellite, I'd catch the end of it all the time. But never until I was a teenager, I never sat down and got to appreciate the entirety of the movie. And the first thing that stands out is the director's name is Savage Steve Holland.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. But was his freaking name Savage? Was that his first name, like Fred Savage? So Randy, he's Randy's brother. Steve Holland earned the childhood nickname Savage after he kicked a kid in the teeth during a soccer game. He studied animation at the California Institute of Arts. That's what's there on Google if you type in why the hell is he called Savage Steve Holland. And he took that crap to Hollywood, dude. The movie ends and it says directed by Savage Steve Holland. I remember seeing an episode of Even Stevens one time and it said directed by Savage Steve Holland. And I think he did Better Off Dead too. I think he did like a 2-pack of John Cusack movies. And I know a lot of people out there love Better Off Dead, and I probably need to revisit it. But when it comes down to it, if you had to compare One Crazy Summer and Better Off Dead, there's no comparison. One Crazy Summer to me is one of the greatest high school movies ever.
You consider it a high school movie?
I consider.
That's weird. It's tough because he does graduate in the opening scene.
Yeah, and you really don't know how old Cassandra is, or the Stork twins,
right?
Or Teddy. All you know for sure is that
Hoops and George just graduated.
Just graduated high school. So summer movie, I consider it a teen comedy, and I think it's definitely up there. I mean, I think that's a show for another day. Top teen comedies ever, the best ones. And I know I'm monopolizing the talking time, but one thing about One Crazy Summer that makes me feel good every time I watch it.
It makes me feel good.
And I'm going to keep doing them both because they make me feel good.
Because your mic quality is I'm trying to figure out if the other mic is better or just no mic.
I'm not plugging that bastard in. So I will scream at this webcam for the rest of my life. I will never plug that back in. In fact, I really need you to get on the board on selling that to eBay so I can get some of my money back.
How much you spend on it?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
You didn't consult with me or Darren.
Well, lesson learned the hard way. Do I sound okay?
You sound great, man. You always sound great. You always sound great. If they don't like it, they can change the channel. Blake, tell me your history with One Crazy Summer. And before we get into the good, bad, and ugly, what'd you think of it? Did you enjoy the watch? A lot of these watches, you've been saying they sucked. So how'd this one go for you?
this was a fun rewatch, and I think what made it fun is I got to enjoy this with my kids. The 13-year-old boy in particular, he loved Egg Stork. He loved Bobcat, whatever his
Go away.
what's his ass, but he he loved that whole gimmick. Yeah, it was a fun rewatch. I kind of got jealous watching this because he graduates high school, and we've been watching all these summer camp movies where all these kids go off for the summer, and as soon as this guy graduates summer, he decides to go with George to Nantucket and spend the summer with his grandma. And this is something George does every single summer, because later on, when they're in Akak's dad's military store, he's like, wasting another summer, huh, George? I got to thinking, this guy gets to go to the beach for the whole summer, Ronnie, and just hang out. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of jealous because I was like, I never really, we talked about it. We didn't do summer camps or anything like that. We enjoyed our summers, no doubt, but we didn't really have experiences like this.
Not only did he get to go to the beach, but it's like he's got his own set of different friends, great friends that live there that he gets to see during the summer friends. So,
and that's a great point. Like summer friends, it's like on Seinfeld where you got the summer me, the winter me. Yeah, it is fun, and it's filled with lots of 80s cheese and goofs, but you'll find out soon that that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Classic 80s underdog bullying, standing up for what's right, fight for your life.
Of every man.
Yeah. John Cusack, even though you read horrible, horrible things about him, I think he knocks this out of the park. And
is this his best role ever?
It's tough, Ronnie, because I really like him in Con Air. I think he played that Marshall or whatever he is in Con Air really well.
He's probably somewhere in his sandals.
He's probably trying to recycle his sandals or some shit. That's a really good question. I hadn't seen none of the newer stuff, Ronnie, like the 1408, any of those. I do like him in Hot Tub Time Machine because I feel like he's playing himself, just a miserable human being. But yeah, I read that he didn't get along with Savage Steve Holland, especially coming off Better Off Dead. They didn't get along, and it seems like he's just been trouble in everything he does.
This is another movie he refuses to talk about.
Right, and it's like,
dude,
man, this is you. Like, whether you like it or not, like, this is one of the main movies you're going to be remembered for. I mean, I don't care about your little bit role in Stand By Me or any of that other crap you did. Like, it's one crazy summer, man.
Darren and Frank going to H45, these cons and stuff. John Cusack there should be a One Crazy Summer con every summer, and you should get all of them gathered up. Who's that guy that does all the cons? He needs to get everybody that's in this movie. There needs to be a One Crazy Summer panel.
What is that bastard's name? Sean Malfunction or something like that? What's his name?
I almost said Sean Cunningham. That's the Friday 13th guy.
Yeah.
Sean Clark.
Sean Clark. We're going to get his we're going to get you, Sean, you're going to be on the show soon. Whether you agree to it or not, we're going to have you on. We'll use AI if we have to.
It's a good thing about AI is we can get all these people on here now.
Yeah, and we'll just put your still up and say you're having video issues, and we'll have AI speak for you. Yeah, we're going to get Sean on here, and he's going to set up some Porky's conventions, some One Crazy Summer conventions. We're tired of this Halloween shit.
It's enough with the shit.
Enough with the shit, Sean. Okay.
We get it.
We get it.
Everybody loves to show up and see the sheriff. Whatever Lee Brackett.
If you're not toting a major league poster into H45 and getting Brackett to sign it, then you're wasting your time.
I would show up with the major league poster for Brackett to sign.
I would sign up with Johnny Be Good poster for Anthony Michael Hall to sign.
I was gonna say Griswolds, but you're right. Or Freddie Got Fingered poster for Anthony Michael Hall. You got to go Last Starfighter or either a still photo of Nick Castle when he's playing those keyboards in that John Carpenter music video. The rest of them I don't even know who's there. So Donald Pleasance, probably have to go Escape from New York, get him signed that.
Yeah, something from probably.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, you go full picture of her with him out in Trading Places. You take it up there to her, let her sign it.
What's that dancing movie she's in, right? Where she's Last Action Hero or something?
No, it's gosh, I had it.
What is it? She's
True Lies.
Yeah, because it used to be on my Twitter at the pinned at the top.
I don't know. It's sort of like the Kevin Bacon thing where he denied Tremors all those years until he became, not important anymore. And now he tried to do the Tremors TV show that didn't even get picked up. And he wants to be a part of Tremors now. But it's too late because you spent all those years denying you were in a great movie with Fred Ward. So hopefully John Cusack comes to his senses and because this is a great movie and might be his greatest claim to fame. And I know he's had serious roles, but this movie is iconic. It really is. So let's get to it. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about, let's get to the good, Blake. What do you got?
Man, let me click on my notes real quick. I got for my first one, I'm not going to use the buzzwords atmosphere or anything like that, Ronnie, but I'm going to change it to nostalgic 80s vibes. What do you think of that one?
Love it. We call that NLVs.
What's that stand for?
Nostalgic ladies vibes.
I said 80s.
We call those NEVs.
I'm talking about the clothes, the music, bullying. I mentioned underdogs fighting back. And bullying is a big part of the 80s.
These bullies are the best.
They really are. And like you said, what's funny about it is you don't know how old they are. So they could very well be picking on kids. Like
they left that dude for dead at the regatta.
Dude, he took such a bump. Like that shit, I'm pretty sure it knocked him out for real. And he's floating face down. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's drowning right in front of our eyes. I mentioned as far as the 80s stuff going to stay with your grandma for the summer. Like, what a cool, just 80s thing. It feels like nobody does that anymore. Does anybody still have grandmas, Ronnie? Are grandmas still a thing?
They're Facebooking, clubbing.
Yeah, that's right.
Sucking on Fridays. Edit.
Bingo. Yeah, go stay with your grandparents for the summer who just happen to live in Nantucket on an island how lucky are you? So, yeah, just the whole feel of this movie. It opens up with them graduating high school and
generic high school and
generic elementary school. And it's just gag after gag after gag. And then we're on our way to the boat, to go to Nantucket. It's like, I don't know. This movie looks 80s. It feels 80s. The cars, the clothes, which like Blake, it took place in the 80s, but like I don't know, just like everything about it, I love.
You mentioned the gags, and I think Savage Steve Holland directed this movie a lot like a TV show, and the fact that the jokes like happen right after they mention them, like Hoops' mother. I watched your graduation outfit. Cut to him with his shrunken graduation outfit on. George talking about, my mother says I'm irresponsible, I'm lazy, but she doesn't mean it. And he stands up from the car and you see the Christmas tree strapped to the top of the car that's dead, that he never hauled off after Christmas was over. Hoops don't say anything about my sister's dog. Just constant reminders like that leading into the jokes. And most of these jokes don't fall flat. It's a level of cheese, but at the same time, there's some charm to it that makes you laugh.
Is that your first one, Ronnie? Or
no? I'm adding to yours.
I don't need you to add to mine.
I love the jokes in this movie. I love everything. You hit my car. My first one, Blake, is Cusack. I think he is the ultimate summer kids, teen, whatever, leading guy in this movie. And what I mean by that is he's obviously a geek. He's hanging around with George. Yeah. But he floats the line of also being kind of cool because he's got the artistic thing going. For some reason, he's nicknamed Hoops, and it's because he's so bad at basketball he can never make the basketball team. And they tease it at the beginning of it that his mother's mad that he didn't get a basketball scholarship, so she's thinking he's going to be a street sweeper for the rest of his life. And like you were talking about earlier about the gags, they're walking through there and George is like, and nothing says the rest of your life like your new set of wheels. And they're walking through there and everybody's getting a new car for graduation, which is a totally foreign concept around here. And then Hoops gets to his and it's a damn street sweeper with hoops on it. So that's what makes him decide he needs to go with George and get the hell away from that place. He's an artist and he's trying to get in an artistic some kind of art school. Yeah. And he's got to have the movie the little segues or the whatever you want to say, the cut scenes in the movie are always Hoop's drawings of this fat rhinoceros looking thing and these few cute and fuzzy bunnies that are always trying to ruin his chance to find love. So he has to have a cartoon that tells, or a drawing that tells a story of love. So he's looking for love on Nantucket. He's a geek. He's cool at the same time. He's calm. At the same time, there's scenes where he's absolutely psychotic, like when he gets wrapped up by the young boys and he's just screaming. Nerdy girls, and the bad girls in these movies, the main girl, they all want him because Cookie wants him immediately, and then she sees him hanging up from a hook right there at the beginning of the movie. So I just think he carries the movie, and he lends the credibility and the seriousness that when it needs to be there, and at the same time, he's able to yuck it up with the Stork twins and George and the comedic scenes as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It does seem like he's the guy who gets along with everyone. You know, you mentioned the Stork twins. Then you got Cassandra, who's on one end of the good-looking girl tree, and then Cookie, who is a total smoke show. He gets along with everyone, and I think that lets you know right away, like this is just a really good guy. You know,
yeah. I mean, he also thinks the best of people, and all these people do. I mean, even George, when they're sitting around, they're like, maybe Cookie will help us, because I don't think we've went over the plot of the film yet. He's trying to find love, or he's really trying to find a love story that he can draw to help him get in the art institute.
Yeah.
Cassandra, who he finds in a bathroom at a gas station. Sloth from Goonies walks in with pink hair. He's fixing to beat the shit out of Demi Moore.
Yes.
The money. And and I'm going to get to that in my next good, but she's trying to save her grandfather's house. And then the bad guys, the Beckersteads, Mark Metcalf and his son Teddy, they're trying to buy that land so they can open Beckerstead Estates and a huge restaurant. And they're living off the grandpa. And in the meantime, you got George is just coasting through life, and the Stork twins who are getting terrorized by Teddy. So they lay out all the stories right off the bat, and it all does sync together. So, I mean, that's my good. John Cusack is absolutely amazing in this movie. And if he never made another movie after this, if he'd have died like River Phoenix, people would be talking about One Crazy Summer.
Well, going into my next one, Ronnie, and you mentioned a few of these, is the comedy bits that we get in this, because I agree with you. I don't think they fell flat at all. And I'm not going to read these in any order, Ronnie, and feel free to interrupt me and laugh and go off on one. But George is reading a newspaper, and he says, you ever notice people die in alphabetical order?
I know. Or when they're sitting there at the graduation, he goes, what's this word? Your last name.
They're eating at George's grandma's house, and she's like, Hoops is like, I got to go eat dinner with George and his grandma. You know how grandmas are about that kind of thing. And then it cuts to her saying, would you like some more? And he's like, no, I'm stuffed. She goes, are you sure? He's like, yes, it was great. Thank you. She goes, all right. And she leaves a $80 bill on the table for him and the Stork twins to pay. Cookie getting popcorn at the movies and it being a 50-pound sack of it, and she eats it all.
Or her looking over to go, are you okay? And he's got bushes in front of him and a safari hat. No, I'm just fine. Trying to hide so he don't get beat up.
George says, my parents brought me a little something home from their trip to France, and I've been saving it for a special occasion. I think it's now. And his bag is a full shape of a bottle, but he pulls out one of the miniature liquor bottles. Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, after George flies in the air out of the water, says, man, they sure do incredible things in movies these days, don't you? And like, I love that self-awareness type comedy. I love that. Teddy says, I'm fixing to beat the out of this guy McCann, and Cassandra says, $100 says you don't, and he goes, what? And everybody there says, $100 says you don't. The paramedics not performing CPR on George.
Dude, I never understood that as a kid. Did the farts from the fat guy cause him to fall, or did the chair collapse and he fell on his head? I never because, and that fat guy, that's a whole set of problems right there, because what the hell's he doing on the beach? He's got his shirt on and shorts and shoes and socks, and he's I mean, it's not like he's there to be in the sun. He's not there to swim. He's just coming to sit on the beach and look at the girls while he's eating out of a damn gigantic grocery bag. He breaks out the old school industrial can of chili, Blake, and is eating it on the beach in the middle of summer. I was jealous.
I really don't understand that one, but you're not supposed to understand it. You just know something bad, really bad happened to where they don't even want to get close to this guy's face. And, he almost dies. You know, it's just the best summer ever, Ronnie. It really is.
It really is.
When you sit back and look at the experience that each character had, the Storks, Cute Hoops, George ends up with Cookie, Cassandra. It's the best summer ever. It really is. It's something that they'll never forget. Like I love it. Gosh, I love it, man.
It rolls into my next good. I put no wasted character. Everybody has a story and it has a finality to it. Hoops has his love story. Cassandra saves her house. George, who you think's just there to be the comedy character, because there's not a lot to George, but when he talks, Joel Murray is funny in this movie. He gets Cookie at the end of it. Egg and Clay Stork get revenge on Teddy by tearing his effing car apart and using it as the boat motor at the end of it because he's always beating up on Clay. Teddy and his dad, they get theirs at the end when the grandfather says he's not investing a dime and gives the deed to Cassandra. He said, here's your house back. Everything comes together, including the uncle, the nasty uncle in the room. The whole summer, he's one of the more fascinating characters. What was his name?
Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank. George opens the door. He hasn't seen him in 9 months. And Frank's first thing is, Georgie, what the hell are you doing in here? And Frank is the character in a room, sitting there listening to this radio, trying to win this radio jingle, trying to win $1 million. So he just stayed in his room the whole time. And they do cut scenes to him constantly running to the phone. And then at the end of it, you get the payoff with that where he wins it and accidentally rips the phone cord out and then uses Akax rocket to fire and blow up the damn radio station on the island. And we hadn't even talked about Curtis Armstrong yet. He's in this movie not playing a disgusting perverted slob. He's playing like a soft-spoken, possibly gay character whose dad, Joe Flaherty, is like big military surplus store guy, veteran, and he wants him to join the Marines, and he tells his dad he don't want to, so he kicks his ass out. And at the end, his story comes full circle when he's a hero by saving the guy that the bad guys knocked into the water. The bad guys, by the way, were dressed like Hulk Hogan with the yellow shorts and the red shirts in there. So, I mean, everybody's story comes together at the end of it. And I just like that. There's nothing wasted. They didn't waste my time with any of these characters in the movie.
And that goes right into my final good, Ronnie. It is the characters. You just knocked them all out of the park. I had Uncle Frank wrote down. I had Teddy and his dad wrote down. Those two are awful human beings.
Mark Metcalf is so underrated as an 80s villain. Between this and even though he's not a villain in Heavenly Kid, he was still the asshole at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And all the Twisted Sister music videos, he's the bad guy in that.
I mean, in this one, he channels something really deep when he goes, yeah, get that dog out of here. And he kicks the dog in the neck. Teddy he don't even know Hoops, but it's his first interaction. He almost runs him over, and then he gets out and goes, you touched my car. And then Hoops is like, and then he's going to whoop his ass until Cookie gets out and stops him. You talked about Uncle Frank and how he's just disgusting and greasy. And we get a scene of him in the tub. What's great is I like to think the grandma made him get in the tub because he's so disgusting. But I wrote down, Ronnie, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think George may be the best character in this movie.
George, I think it's Hoops, but there's something about the George character.
He's just so chill.
Yes.
At any given moment, even when things are going bad, he is super chill. And he's funny. His timing is great. He's after girls all the time. But he's also got his buddies back. And
yeah, he does.
And I think that's a really cool thing. Even though you know you're going to lose, you got your buddies back. He's got some of the best lines that I heard today that I never even realized watching this growing up or even recently. I just missed out on it. And he is so good. And I got him as my best character in the movie, Ronnie.
My next one, Blake, is the music. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but the music is really good in this movie.
Yeah, it is.
You got the Beach Boys, you got Creedence. It's just a ton of great music throughout this movie, and each song sets the scene for the action or the dialogue or whatever's happening. It's perfect. It's a perfect soundtrack for a summer movie, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
What do you think about the comparisons and the similarities between this and Summer Rental, though?
The only thing I see that's a comparison is they both have a regatta, a boat race at the end of it. I mean, it's completely different. Bad guys got to win the race.
They're going to have something taken away from them from a bad guy, so they have to win a race. We get a compilation of fixing up the boat.
Mm-hmm. It can't be an 80s movie without a music montage, Blake.
I keep saying compilation, but it is montage. You're right. And then we get a unique way of winning the race.
The cheating. Damn Ferrari engine in your boat. And this is the boat. It's a piece of shit boat that's just washed up on the beach the whole movie. It's a backdrop for most of the scenes, and they get it and fix it up to win this race because they've bet with the Beckersteads, if we win the race, you got to give the house back. No, they didn't make a bet. They figured if they win the race, they can exchange the trophy for the deed of her house. That's what it is.
Which is wild to think, because the dad would never go for that.
Like, yeah, and the grandpa would know they didn't win the regatta. He's there. He's not that dumb.
So the grandpa is played by William Hickey. You had to guess how old he was in this movie. What would you say, Ronnie?
He was in a few episodes of Wings in the 90s.
He's also the grandfather in Christmas Vacation, one of our favorites.
I would say in this movie he's 64 years old.
Okay, so that's a really good guess. He's only 60 in this movie, and he's like 58, 59 in Christmas Vacation. Really? No, I'm sorry. Reverse that.
He's 58 in this movie and 60 in Christmas Vacation.
Something like that, yeah.
But he looks much older.
He looks much older. He looks much older. Yeah.
You look horrible.
Rip William Hickey.
And did you notice that low key the dad, the Beckerstead dad, Mark Metcalf, is like a geek? The way he dresses, he's like Uncle Frank, but for that family. He's living at home. He's trying to sponge off his dad.
Yeah.
And he's dressed like a freaking geek, hairstyle and all. Like his hair is similar to Uncle Frank, except Uncle Frank's got the flat top up top, but he's a loser. He's just living with his dad, who's a millionaire, and him and the son are sponging off them. And he's just trying to get his dad to fund his condominium project. But I mean, if you didn't notice the way he's dressed and all that, he's a bad guy, but he's a super geek as well.
You ready to move on to the bad?
Yeah. And my first bad, I'm going to let you, can I go first?
Sure.
Because my first bad ties into some of the scenes you talked about earlier when you said all the scenes. I only got one bad, by the way. We're doing a lot of different wording of things in this episode, and I like it. So I put microwave scenes that could have been epic. And what I mean by that is at the beginning of the movie, when Cusack comes in and attacks Cassandra, George is pumping gas. They all run out. They dive in the car. George pulls away with the gas thing still attached to the car. They're getting chased by crazy pink-haired bikers. This could have been an awesome chase scene for about 2 minutes that led into George jumping the ramp and landing on the boat. Instead, it felt like it was microwaved down to 20 seconds. Yeah. And before the music could get going, it's over. We didn't get to savor what a great scene that could have been. And then you go to, personally, my favorite scene as a kid was Save Her, where Cookie and Hoops are driving up to Screw Point, and a bush hits him in the face and he falls out. And all these campers that Joe Flaherty have out there, they wrap him up because they think he's one of the people that's supposed to be dead and they're supposed to be doing first aid on. And he's like, Cookie, for Christ's sakes, help me. And he's running. And me at the same time, Piven and Teddy are driving up there in a high-speed chase, and he's egging him on. Who knows what they came up here to do? And he's mad. You've got Bobcat Goldthwait, who's freaking out at the party and does the whole Godzilla scene after he screams GD it. And and this is after George has stolen Bobcat's little scooter, and he's just like you said earlier, chill, just driving through the darkness, and Hoops comes out of the bushes on him, and he screams Jesus, and they've got the campers chasing them, and then the Godzilla chasing them, and they all end up 2 seconds later in front of the Dewdrop Inn, and boom, the music stops and we're on to the basketball scene. I thought that chase scene could have went longer and could have been more epic to that. The only thing that they really were able to maintain was the montage to get Cassandra a big house so she could make money, and the boat thing at the end of it. I thought that was really well done, or blowing the hatch. But I thought there was a few scenes throughout it that was just like, man, if they would have just kept this for a couple of more minutes, I think this would have been like and it may have been a money issue. It might have been, this is all we can do with this chase scene. But I just thought the microwave scenes hurt it a little bit. It could have made it epic. I really believe that.
This was tough for me to find a bad, Ronnie, and I just had to pick out. One of them is a scene I think it could have been done a little bit better, and the other is just something I don't know why it was in there, and I was going to get your thoughts. The dolphin with killer rabies gimmick.
Jaws.
So they get there, and they're filming a movie about a dolphin with killer rabies, and I get it. This is 10 years after Jaws.
It's got a payoff though. It does have a payoff because the redheaded girl's in the dolphin at the end of it and takes out the dad as he's about to shoot an arrow into the boat. So it does have a payoff.
Yeah, but it just goes back to, I think we could have done something else there, because the girl's in the dolphin way out there in the water. What if the dad never gets knocked into the water? I mean,
true.
I know I'm not supposed to ask those questions, but
what about the two little girls getting slapped on the back and their face sticking? That's another gag. It was hilarious.
Yes, it was awesome. And then you have at the gas station the two rude guys like, it's the ugliest dog I've ever seen.
I can't wait anymore. And she just floors it.
Yeah, the grandma from Ernest Saves Christmas, leaves them.
I'm sorry you got busted.
My other bad is, we talked about Booger, Ack.
What a name, by the way. Ack.
So Teddy not only cheats on Hoop's boat and causes his sails to fall. The only way to win, Theodore, is to cheat. I knew I couldn't count on you. You're not my son.
Edit.
You said the R word. They screw around with another boat. And, they're using poles and shit to mess with him. This bar just kills this kid. He's dead. CTE times 10.
He's getting hauled
face down in the water, and they're like, man overboard, Jesus. Ack wastes no time because he knows what a hero is supposed to do. He dives in, he grabs him, and he's like, I got him. Y'all go ahead. And he's like, are you sure? And he's like, yes. Beat him. And they're like, all right. I just felt like that could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like Booger could have put some more effort into that.
Kick his ass.
Go get him. Beat his ass for me. Or, so just anything. And then like some better music, like some pump up, like just something, I feel like that whole thing could have been done a little bit better, but those are my only two bads.
All right, let's get into the ugly. Who's your ugliest person in this movie, Blake?
Oh gosh. I got to go with Uncle Frank, Ronnie. And it's just the way they dolled him up for this. He is super greasy and dirty, and the hair, the glasses, the smoking. He stinks like shit. I got to go Uncle Frank is the ugliest person in this movie.
There's a lot of people that you could go through. I thought about Bobcat Goldthwait. I thought about William Hickey. He's old and ugly. I thought about Mark Metcalf. He's ugly in this movie, but I went with the little redheaded sister because she's uglier than Homemade Sin. She is ugly. I know it should be taboo to put kids in the ugly part of Good, Bad, and Ugly, but there's no way she grew up to be anything other than Carrot Top. She's ugly. She's stupid. The dog's stupid. She's so stupid she thought the dog was a boy. She named it Bosco. At the end of it had puppies. So
Bosco.
I don't know. She is definitely the ugliest person in this movie.
You don't think she grew up to be a piece of red velvet cake?
No, she's uglier than hell. I guarantee it. Hit us in the comments if you have any pictures of a squid, calamari, or whatever her name was in the movie, which is great because George's last name is Calamari in this movie, according to IMDb. That's One Crazy Summer, Blake, 1986, a great movie.
Oh, Ronnie, one of the comedic bits I don't want to leave out. You quote this all the time. They're at the drive-in. Hoops is with Cookie while Teddy is doing something for the social event. And she's like, do you want to go somewhere else to a little more romantic? By the way, they're making out too, so she's definitely cheating on Teddy, and Hoops knows what he's getting into. He's like, I don't know, Cookie, I'm enjoying this here motion picture, and then it cuts to the scene, and there's this scared guy's like, I never touched her, I swear. And then there's this fat guy with a chainsaw. Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. I knew I'd find you at the drive-in.
He's got a chainsaw. He's going to kill him.
But there's another clip, Ronnie, that doesn't get talked about enough. So he kind of screws over Cassandra, and to make it up to her, he draws a cartoon, and it's a commercial for her performance, and he's going to put the cartoon over the drive-in theater to advertise. But if you watch the scene behind the cartoon, which is something I've never done before today, there's a doctor and a nurse and a guy bent over a table. And the doctor's like, I got to do this. I got to. And she's like, don't go any deeper. He's like, I have to. It's my job. And then you see him go right for the guy's ass, and the guy goes, and that's it. That's the ending scene. And
all I ever paid attention to was them shaking hands while they're getting stuff thrown at them.
Yeah, exactly. And I love when movies do something like that on screen. Like American Werewolf probably did it better than anybody. The scene with the porno in the porno theater, as far as making their own little comedic bit. But gosh, that was great. But yeah, Hoops draws the commercial, helps them raise the money that Cassandra owes for her grandfather's place, and that's all she wrote.
They call him Hoops throughout the movie, and the gimmick is every time he throws a can at a trash can or paper at a waste basket, he always misses. And at the end, after the bad guys cheat, he has to throw a tiny little ball up and make it into a hoop so it'll come back down so they can raise the sale, and he does it. So he finally lives up to his name. We didn't talk about Egg Stork either. That scene where he hands the kite off to the little kid, and the little kid floats away, and like it cuts to John Cusack who's looking. And the whole world they created there is great. And I want to come back to that in a second. But the scene with Ack and Egg where he's like, I want to tell you a little story about a little fat kid. He goes, were you the fat kid, Egg? No, I used to kick the shit out of him. So why are you so fat? Why are you so fat?
Did it feel weird to you that Cassandra wasn't on the boat for the race?
Yes, she should have been on the boat.
You never thought about that, though, right?
No,
I never thought about it till today. I'm like, why is it Cassandra on the boat?
She should have been on the boat. Without a doubt, she should have been on the boat. And at the end of it, Hoops gets the girl. And then
this is the part I left out of my little rant a while ago. Hoops gets the girl. But Chill George walks by, and he sees Hoops, and he sees Cassandra kissing, and he looks at Cookie and goes, he grabs Cookie by the arm and goes, hey, Cookie, what do you say we stop playing all these games? Like, in his head, they've been playing games for all these summers. And then she looks at him, she smiles, and they start making out. Perfect ending for George.
Everybody gets
the summer.
Everybody gets the perfect ending, except Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank, at the end of it, doesn't get the $1 million because the cord comes out, and you got Rich Hill, the voice guy. Excuse me, there's a rocket coming in, and he blows the damn. And this is what I wanted to talk about. He blows the damn radio station up, and immediately you see the Stork twins roll up in their car because their dad runs a garage, and they're like, "Hey, it's a bonfire!" And they take off running to roast marshmallows. And all I could think about is you've created a world that this is always happening, even though it's 40 years later. In your mind, in people's minds that grew up with this movie, if you go to Nantucket, the Stork twins are there. They're the same age. George is there. Cusack is there. The Beckersteads are there. They created a world on Nantucket that is never going away. And I don't know why I was feeling nostalgic about that today. I guess because Clay Stork passed away. But this is just a great movie, Blake. It is a fantastic movie. And it ends with this song. It is great. One Crazy Summer. And you're right. It was a crazy summer. And it was a great summer, too.
It was the best summer.
Hit us in the comments. What did you think about One Crazy Summer? Give us your good, bad, and ugly. Hit the like button. Hit the notification buttons. We're going live all the time. We got no schedule anymore. Blake, anything else?
Comment down below. Is this John Cusack's best movie?
Yeah, is there a summer movie better than this? And if you can think of one, put it in the comments. We're going to call you a liar. Thanks to everybody that supports us on Patreon and YouTube membership. We really appreciate it, guys. We really do. See you next
So long,
time.
everybody.